Burberry has always been in the forefront of technology and fashion. The company has just launched its new See Now, Buy Now initiative. And it's an interesting paradox, and in the midst of all that immediacy, the collection itself is so rich and measured and thoughtful. And that's a pretty accurate reflection of the character of its creator, Christopher Bailey. You hadn't much longer to work on this collection because you didn't show, as you normally would have shown a men's collection in June, you didn't do that. I noticed that the show felt a lot richer. Do you think your response to having more time was that your creativity was kind of enhanced in some way?
I felt liberated with this collection, but it wasn't a timing thing, because if I just kind of cast my kind of flaky memory back, we actually finished the whole collection in June. In fact, we finished during the men's shows. When
you would have shown it.
Yeah, and I felt actually quite sad because I knew you were all doing fun stuff out there and we were kind of like putting a collection to bed. Also, from June through yesterday, it gave us the opportunity to kind of unpack a little bit the inspiration, the stories, the artisans that went behind it, the craft that went behind it, the kind of being able to work with Elan on the music, composing a piece of music that was the spirit of the collection, and the emotions and deceit and mystery and treachery, and kind of being able to join all the dots so that people, audiences around the world, whether they be in our stores or on .com or on social platforms, can start to kind of get get behind the thing. It's not just a transactional relationship. There's a story behind that piece of knitwear and that skirt and that jacket, and and that culminates with the music and the book and all the little things that we worked on.
I think there's a really fascinating paradox at the heart of all of this, and we have talked about it before, that Burberry's been in the forefront of technologizing fashion, using the very latest ways to get your message to the world. But at the same time, you've been saying that you want to slow things down. So in this collection, there was a stronger sense yet of this enormous technological network behind what we were seeing. But at the same time, we were looking at things that were all about the pleasure of craft and the achievements of the human hand. And you've said it all in this house, Maker's House, in which you're celebrating that age-old handmade things. So actually, do you feel right now you have the best of both worlds? You have all the speed and you have all the slowness that you could possibly want.
Yeah, I wish I could have been as articulate as you, but that's exactly, I've always talked about this melding of the worlds. I don't see them as two different things. I don't see one side as creativity and craft exists over here and technology and speed live over here.
The point has been made that this notion of See Now, Buy Now, this initiative, which you started last night, and you already had this great response to the most elaborate pieces in the collection. But the point has been made that as you get used to what people buy immediately, you'll focus on that, and there's less chance maybe that you will take the risks, because you'll be able to focus so closely on what sells that you won't be, I wonder, well, let's take a flyer on this. Do you see that as a potential danger?
I don't, and I find it an incredibly patronizing argument.
Thank you.
We designers are not stupid. We do have brain cells, and we're not constrained by timings and kind of, we find solutions to those problems.
Could you actually see this situation will evolve where you do this and you show things in the moment? There's a fabulous response to the entire spectrum of the collection, but there are the other people who hold to the notion that fashion is about desire, and desire is a big part of and anticipation is a big part of desire. So there will still be people who want to wait 6 months or whatever. Do you see that these two things will coexist?
Yeah, I don't think there's one rule for everybody, and I think it's like I said, it's what I feel. What we're doing is what I feel is right, but there is no rule book. There is no formula. What I do know is everyone around us is changing the way they live, work, shop, engage, are entertained, date, eat, holiday. Everything is changing, and our industry is not immune to that change, and our customers are not immune to those changes. And it doesn't mean that, you know, the kind of traditional way of, you know, the anticipation is, I'm not saying that that won't exist, but there has to be some change, because, you know, people are changing. We are living in a radically different world that will only kind of get stronger over the years, over the months and years.
If you want to know more of what I think about fashion, if you even care what I think about fashion, don't forget to subscribe to The Business of Fashion on YouTube.